rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events. This is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective. I am your host, Rick. We were chatting in the Rumble chat. By the way, if you haven't gone over to rumble.com and gotten yourself an account yet, you need to. It's free. And once you get signed up and are signed in, search up the American Perspective channel and make sure to hit that green follow button to get notified every time I go live. But we were sitting there chatting and talking about the various icons and colors that are in the chat. Now, generally speaking, and this doesn't, for whatever reason, it doesn't seem to always work, but for general purposes, if a person is highlighted in pink, that means that they are a subscriber to the channel. You can also see there's a little red icon next to their name that will also indicate that they are a subscriber. Then if you sign up and are basically paying monthly payment for the Rumble Premium, which I may talk about here in a little bit, you will receive the green icon next to your username. And if you have paid other people a certain amount of money in the past, whether it's gifting people like a Rumble rant or whatever, if you get like a bunch of Rumble rants and you put them all together, you'll get a different colored icon as well. Mine in the chat happens to be kind of a gold, along with Becky from Australia. Hers is gold as well. And then if you are the boss of the channel, meaning if you're either a mod or a admin of the channel that you're in the chat with, you'll get a purple crown icon. And there's a bunch of little icons that designate kind of what you are and what kind of things that you do. So it's really a lot of fun to jump into the chat and talk to everybody. In fact, I was even told earlier today by a individual who has stopped by a couple of times, but comes from originally, well, I know them from the Outlaw Dogs live stream, the Doghouse, and she has a bunch of people. She obviously advocates this channel. Apparently, I just found out that I have a day over there. It's Tuesdays. So tomorrow I'm going to have to try and get into Outlaw Dogs' stream. But anyway, the whole purpose or the whole point of all this was just kind of explain what's going on, but also to get you to sign up on Rumble. Because Rumble is the free speech alternative to YouTube. But anyway, as I was saying, this one lady, or person, don't know if it's a man or a woman. But anyway, this one person came over or was talking to me in the Outlaw Dogs chat, and the Outlaw Dogs, she said that we have a great group of people here. And I agree. We have a great group of people here. So if you get a chance and you want to be a part of the special Whiskey Warrior P1 group, you got to get over to Rumble, sign up, get an account, and sign in and chat with some of the smartest people on the interwebs, and definitely the most friendly for the most part. Well, I mean, unless, of course, you're a leftist moron, lunatic. Then they'll set you straight, baby. Let me just tell you that right now. All right, let's go ahead and get things kicked off. Tonight is none other than the wonderful, the ever-present, the always comical 3 Chevy. 3 Chevy is up for tonight's Pledge of Allegiance, so if you are of mine, please stand. Remove your hats, if you're wearing one like me. Place your hand over your heart and follow along with 3 Chevy as he recites the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And, of course, I thank you, 3 Chevy, for that wonderful rendition of the pledge. If you would like to hear your rendition of the pledge played here on the program, all you need to do is record yourself performing the pledge or reciting the pledge in your style. Then take that audio file, video file, whatever kind of file it is, and send it off to me. Send it to fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. Can't forget, you can also share it. If you're recording it on your phone, you can hit share, and it will send it to me as well. It sends it like an email to fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. Now, Outlaw Dogs admitted she knows she owes me one, but that doesn't mean that you can't get in and become number 20. I like even numbers. So let's get to number 20. I'm at 19. I need 20. Please get me to number 20. Record yourself reciting the pledge and send it off to me. Get you into the rotation. All right. Tonight's headline sponsor. Uh-oh. Now I'm going to get replicated over and over and over until I do that. Ah, there we go. Tonight's headline sponsor is theflagshirt.com. That's theflagshirt.com, and you can check this out. You can check this now. Check this out. They have the limited edition Never Forget 9/11 t-shirt on sale right now. Now, granted, okay, it's only for a limited time, but it's the United We Stand Never Forget 9/11 t-shirt. Go and get yours today. Go to theflagshirt.com and order one of these fantastic memorial shirts for 9/11. 9/11 is coming up here soon. 9/11 is coming up here soon. So, yeah, go and do that. Head on over to theflagshirt.com and get your Never Forget 9/11 shirt, United We Stand. Also, check out the rest of their wonderful offerings, men's, women's, kids, accessories, all in patriotic red, white, and blue, as well as patriotic and historical landmarks and things like that. I personally I'm not wearing one of their shirts. Not wearing one of their shirts right now, but I can tell you that I usually wear the men's cotton polos, and I have a lot of them. And anyway, you'll be seeing those when it starts getting colder around here. But anyway, go to theflagshirt.com and grab yours today. If you order $75 or more of their product at any one time, they'll give you free shipping. But I know not everybody can do $75 or more. Sometimes, you gotta do what you gotta do. So, what I am recommending, if all you want to do is just grab like one shirt or whatever, before you check out at theflagshirt.com, head on over to flagshirt.americanperspective.online. That's flagshirt.americanperspective.online. You'll be presented with a coupon code. That coupon code, if you copy and paste it into the promo code box at checkout at theflagshirt.com, you will get $5 off your order on American Perspective. Once again, go to flagshirt.americanperspective.online. Grab that coupon code that you are presented with. Take that, copy and paste it into the promo code box at theflagshirt.com and get $5 off your order on American Perspective. Go to theflagshirt.com and get yourself patriotized. All right, folks. Well, it's now proven, based off of a poll, that Democrats are anti-American. They are anti-capitalist. They are anti-American. They prefer socialism, apparently. And that's why people like Bernie Sanders and Zohran Mamdani are doing so well and everything. It's an increasingly larger share that views socialism much more favorably than capitalism, according to a new Gallup poll. Only 42% of Democrats said they have a positive view of capitalism compared to the 66%, that's over 2/3, folks, who asserted a positive view of socialism. So Democrats are seeking to redefine their party after the devastating 2024 defeat. The finding indicates that their base is increasingly open to socialist policy ideas promoted by those party leaders. Yeah. I mean, come on. We knew this. Just the mere fact that Bernie Sanders was able to jump in as the president, as a potential presidential candidate, is just enough to know that, yeah, they are going away from Americanism, and they are anti-American. They are totally anti-American. I guarantee you that right now. And if you look at people like AOC is another one. You can just look at Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, whatever else. They are becoming the party of socialist Marxist morons, leftist lunatic morons. That's what they are. The Democrats are no longer American, folks. And when they sit there and talk about saving democracy, they don't want democracy because socialism and communism does not adhere itself to democracy. So don't let them sit there and tell you, oh yeah, we're going to save democracy. We got to save it from Donald Trump. No. They don't care about democracy because they are socialists, because they are Marxists, they are Stalinists, they are Leninists, and any other ists that are out there, with the exception, of course, of the American capitalist. Now, on contrast, 74% of Republicans reported a favorable view of capitalism, with only 14% viewing socialism favorably. This survey was conducted between August 1st and August 20th and was just under 1,100 U.S. adults that were polled. Overall, 54% of Americans reported a positive view of capitalism, down from 60% in 2021, marking the lowest level since Gallup began tracking this particular question in 2020. Favorable views of socialism increased slightly. Now, this is overall. This isn't just Democrats, but this is overall, from 36% to 39% during the same period. Folks, this is exactly the problem that we have in this country. We have a bunch of morons and idiots that are running around thinking that socialism is this great thing. Okay? Great thing. And, yeah, it's not. Trust me. Socialism, communism has been tried all over the world. And it's never been successfully implemented. There has always been, or had to have been, other kinds of philosophies injected in order to make it even halfway run correctly. And I say correctly only because of the fact that, you know, the socialists and the Marxists and the communists, they all think that it runs perfectly well, but it doesn't. It creates an oligarchy. You listen to AOC, you listen to Bernie Sanders, they run around with the fight the oligarchy, but yet both AOC and Bernie Sanders have personal wealth values in the millions. AOC, she used to be a frickin' waitress, bartender. She goes into Congress at $174,000 a year, and all of a sudden her net worth jumps to $10 million or whatever it was. Give me a break. That's not a socialist. That's not a communist. That's a capitalist. That's an individual who believes in the fact that money is what they want. That's it. You can't sit here and tell me that she doesn't want to pass out all of her money to everybody else. That's what a socialist or a communist would do. They would want to give in to everything. They would want, and Bernie Sanders has something like 4 or 5 houses. Folks, the Democrat Party is no longer American. They don't believe in America. They don't believe in the Constitution. They don't believe in anything other than enriching themselves and making sure that they have power, which is exactly what socialism and communism does. Regardless of what they tell you in the books, regardless of what Karl Marx talked about in his Marxism, they don't care. They don't care. They don't care about you. They want to divide. They want to put you into little boxes. They want you to be the ones that are on the lower end and they be the oligarchs. Telling you, folks, they are not for you. They are not for America. And they are getting closer and closer to potentially destroying this country. All right. Well, let's move on over here and listen to Scott Jennings. Oh, Scott Jennings, yeah. I love Scott Jennings. He, let's just say he kind of ripped someone a little bit of a new one because he's actually found who the true leader of the Democrat Party is. Let's take a listen.
I think Ruben Gallego, who is a veteran, who has talked a lot about
Senator from Arizona.
Senator from Arizona, won Arizona, understands the Latino community. Latinos are, I think, going to be critical in the midterm elections and moving forward. And he, I think, is someone to watch. I think Cory Booker also did a really great job on the House floor, talking about how people have been impacted by Trump. And so I think those are the two to watch moving forward.
Cory Booker, recently engaged. Congratulations.
Recently engaged, Cory Booker.
Well, I mean, for the foreseeable future, the person who's running the Democratic Party now is going to be running it. That's Donald Trump. I mean, the only thing they know how to do is be against whatever he is for. And so there is no leader of the party except for Trump. The beating heart of the Democratic Party is if Trump is for it, we're against it, and you throw a little socialism on the side. That's basically how they
All right, thanks. I know. Let the record reflect that the two Democrats at the panel disagreed with what.
Oh, but that's actually correct. He is right. Scott Jennings, once again, hits the nail on the head. He hits the bullseye. Yeah, if you look at the Democrat Party as it's been since Trump has been running and has gotten elected, that is exactly what the Democrat Party is all about. They're throwing in some socialism, but everything is hate Trump, get Trump. You know, especially things like the Epstein files. I don't know if anybody saw this, but reportedly the alleged document that Donald Trump sent to Epstein on his some birthday back in 2003. Yeah, that image has finally been revealed. The alleged, again, the reason why they say alleged is so they don't get sued. Yeah, that thing just doesn't, it doesn't pass muster. And even if it does pass muster, who cares? Who cares? That was 2003. See, what these leftist lunatic morons don't seem to understand is where it really counts, meaning flying off to Epstein Island, actually abusing the young girls, and, all of that stuff. Everything about that whole thing, nothing has come up about Trump. In fact, the victims even said to NBC, no, they never heard. They never saw. They've never seen or heard Donald Trump doing anything untowards toward any of the individuals involved. Now, that, all that does is just irk the hell out of the left because, again, they seem to think that just because they create some fantasy of him, okay, they create some fantasy of him doing something nefarious, they have to make it up. They have to make it up. They were even some of the people who were sitting there posting this thing, they were just like, oh, look at the image that was drawn. It's the image of a young girl, not of a mature woman. Well, that's assuming, again, that the damn thing was even true, has even been verified to be his hand. Now, I can tell you the language, the words being used, that's not usually Trump's talking points. That's not usually what he says. So the chances of him actually being the one who wrote it, yeah, pretty slim, folks. Pretty slim. Well, another thing that Trump had this week, or last week, I guess, that is scaring the crap out of the left is the fact that Trump went and struck a Venezuelan drug boat in international waters by using the American military, in this particular case, the Navy. Well, yeah. Anyway, that's got the left all wrapped up around the axle. Let's take a listen to this guy. What is his name? He's Independent Veterans of America founder Paul Reichhoff. I think that's pronounced correctly. He's describing Trump's actions. Well, you can listen for yourself.
It's alarming, it's unprecedented, and it's dangerous. And it's the latest example of how Trump continues to overextend and abuse military power. I think it's maybe the most important and one of the most underreported stories in America right now. He keeps pushing the boundaries to places we've never been before. And let's flip it a different way. Not only did they kill 11 people, allegedly, they put American troops at risk. American troops could have died, right? And anytime you put American troops at risk, you owe the American public an explanation as to why. There is absolutely no accountability right now. There is no transparency. And there's the old saying, first send the country to war, then send the troops. We keep sending the troops first without getting the country behind them, whether it's National Guard deployments in Washington, D.C. and Chicago, or strikes like this. And we are going into literally now uncharted territory in terms of accountability and authority. And they're going to keep going because
Okay. I'm going to interrupt this guy because this guy obviously is a leftist moron. Let me explain something to you, kind sir. And I'm using that facetiously. First of all, as a veteran, you take an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That's number one. Number two, we haven't been at war since World War II. None of the actions that we have taken in Korea, Vietnam, Grenada, Libya, Syria, Afghanistan, none of those actions have fallen under war because none of them were ever declared for war. So you want to sit here and blame Trump for all of this? No, this has already been, the water's under the bridge, man. The Pandora's box has been opened, and Donald Trump is basically doing what Donald Trump can. Oh, I can't forget Iraq. Thank you, Nana. These people seem to think that because Donald Trump is using the military to defend the country from an existential threat, which, by the way, that boat was registered to Tren de Aragua, which is a formally declared terrorist organization, according to our government. Now, you sit here and you talk about, Trump is exceeding his military power. No, he's not. He has not once exceeded his constitutionally given powers to command and be commander-in-chief of the United States military. That includes the whole National Guard stuff, because contrary to these morons' belief, because they've been indoctrinated into this idea that, the federal government can't protect its own lands with federal government employees and federal forces. Yeah, I'm sorry, but you morons need to read the Constitution once again and need to understand that, yes, absolutely, the president has this ability to protect our borders, protect our federal installations, and all of the other things that are a part of this. See, this guy is lost. He doesn't seem to understand. that this is essentially, and not to mention the fact, what about the war on drugs? What about the war on drugs that started in the 80s and worked its way up and has continually been a bit of a problem? I actually think it started earlier than that. I think it started when Nixon declared marijuana as a gateway drug. Anyway, this guy obviously does not understand any of this. And of course, he shows up on none other than MSNBC. Yeah. These people need to understand and realize what's going on. Well, the Penguin, not to be outdone, he showed up on some thing and is now talking about potentially prosecuting the president for what he did. Yeah, let's go ahead and listen to this.
What parts of the Constitution in particular do you think are most in need of defense right now?
Well, a number of them. One is civil liberties. I mean, they're going the way they're going after immigrants. Or
okay, wait. Before he goes on, I'm just going to point this out. He's saying going after immigrants. No, he's going after illegal aliens. Penguin. Anyway, let's continue.
The constitutional spending power, the way they're refusing to spend money despite the Anti-Impoundment Act of 1974. They're subverting the entire role of Congress. And now this newest out.
No, they're not subverting the role of Congress. They're just redefining some of the things that they can, which, by the way, I mean, again, just to point this out, I really think the tactic that Donald Trump should take is that the Department of Justice should sue Congress for all of this crap under the 10th Amendment. That literally is what they should do. But anyway, we'll continue with Jerry Nadler.
Rage, where they just bombed a speedboat, which they asserted was carrying terrorists. So you're the judge, jury, and executioner.
Oh, wait. When did that happen? Let's see. What happened when Obama drone striked? I don't know how to Englishly say that. Did a drone strike on a suspected terrorist, and it turned out to be an American citizen who was a suspected terrorist. Yeah, okay. But notice the Penguin doesn't want to even recognize any of that at all. Yeah, and let's see, he continues.
Not in a time of war. For that, the president ought to face criminal charges.
Ah, there it is. Except there's only one problem. Well, the president has immunity for official acts. Oh, which he always has. The president has always had immunity from official acts. The official act that he took was protecting the United States against an enemy that was identified as a terrorist organization that potentially had drugs on board of the boat. And by the way, had 11 people who very well could have been armed. And these assholes, yes, I am calling them an asshole. These assholes seem to think that would have been, more toward the lines of the Coast Guard. Well, let me explain something to you about the difference between the Coast Guard and the other armed services. The Coast Guard originally didn't have arms. The Coast Guard didn't actually have arms until they started doing drug interdictions. And then they started getting heavier weaponry. They originally were not an armed service. They were a rescue organization. So, anyway, this guy, he can't retire fast enough, although with our luck, we'll end up with another leftist lunatic moron in the place of it. But again, folks, that was he can't be prosecuted for that because he was doing his job. He was protecting our borders. All right. Before I get into the next topic for tonight, let me tell you about Rumble Premium. Here we go. You've probably already noticed, but Rumble is growing fast and it's not slowing down. I am going to keep pushing it until I can get there. But anyway, I guess I'm sorry. I got a correction, but that's okay. I'll get it here in a second. They are building a real alternative to big tech that puts creators first and protects free speech. And now there's Rumble Premium, an easy way to upgrade your experience. With Premium, you get ad-free viewing across the platform. No pre-rolls, no interruptions, just the content that you care for. Plus, Premium members unlock exclusive content like bonus videos, behind-the-scenes drops, and more from your favorite creators. Right now, Rumble is offering $10 off an annual subscription. All you need to do is head on over to rumble.com/premium. Use the promo code STUDIO at checkout to get that $10 off your annual subscription. That's rumble.com/premium. And for those that don't know, the / is the question mark key. Promo code STUDIO, STUDIO. You'll get $10 off your annual subscription when you order. No ads, more freedom, and content that you actually care about. That's the deal. Go to rumble.com/premium and use promo code STUDIO to get that $10 off the annual subscription. All right. Correction. I've just been corrected by one of the smart Whiskey Warrior P1s. Apparently, the Coast Guard actually were armed in the 1930s. So I was apparently incorrect on that. So there you go. All right. Well, here's a story that the mainstream media is not going to touch. And the reason why they're not going to touch it is mainly just because of the fact that the races of the two individuals are not following the narrative. Now, one thing that you'll notice about especially things and stories about crime is that crime in general, okay, crime in general is considered to be a local news story. It doesn't become national news until it fits a certain national news narrative. And this is evidenced once again by another news story that just came out. So there was this Ukrainian refugee. You can see her in the picture. She's on some sort of a train or whatever. She's wearing she's wearing what appears to be her work uniform, heading off to work. She's sitting on this light rail train, whatever kind of train this is. And she's sitting there and minding her complete own business. By the way, did I mention she's Ukrainian and white and blonde? Well, in this image that you see, the guy behind her, who is, by the way, a well-known criminal, he is, by the way, reportedly mentally ill, has had several run-ins with the law, was dropped back on the street due to cashless bail and things of that nature. But this guy was sitting behind her. Now, I'm not going to play the video, but I can tell you I watched the video. And you can see where she gets on the train. He's already sitting there over by the window. She gets on the train. She sits down. He pulls something out of his pocket, and you can see him opening up a knife, what appears to be a knife blade. He stands up behind her and stabs her multiple times, killing her. Then he walks through the train as the blood is dripping off of the knife. And other passengers appear to either look at him, don't want to say anything. Some of them may be completely oblivious as to what happened, but The guy's dripping blood all over the frickin' car. And again, you need to understand here, this guy has been in and out of jail for a large portion of his adult life. He had prior arrests. See, you sit here and you talk about removing guns. Oh, we got to remove guns. Yeah, no. We don't need to remove guns. We need to add more guns. And we need to lock up criminals like this. We need to lock them up for a very long time. We need to reinstitute. We have a mental illness problem in this America. We have a mental illness issue. And that is all of these people. I mean, obviously, this guy has literally no remorse over what he's doing. Because, again, he randomly picks out a totally innocent person and decides just because they're there to kill him. There is no mention or no knowledge of any kind of contact between these two people before. This person, this victim, came from Ukraine. She fled Ukraine in 2022 amid the war. So she's over here as a refugee. And she gets killed going to work on a train by a mentally ill, known felon criminal. At least I'm pretty sure he's a felon. This exactly is what your Democrat Party wants right here. This is what your Democrat Party wants to embrace. See, they don't recognize the fact that mental illness is a problem. They don't recognize that people who have mentally ill challenges need to be locked up and the key thrown away. They don't recognize that people who do crimes like this have a high recidivism rate. Folks, you want America to be this way? Then vote Democrat. If you're tired of this shit, and yes, I did say that, if you're tired of it, then vote Republican. Period. Everything from the top on down. Vote Republican all the way down to your local school boards and everything else. If you're tired of this kind of crap and seeing this kind of crap on TV all the time, in Chicago, hell, it happens every single freaking weekend, multiple times over the weekend. This happened in, where was this? Let's see. Charlotte, North Carolina was where this was at. Yeah. If you want this shit to happen all the time, vote Democrat. That's all I'm going to say. Keep voting Democrat because Democrats embrace these idiots and morons. That man should have been locked up and the key thrown away. Period. Anyway. All right. Well, immigration has for today, okay, immigration has for today been a highlight of the aggregators and news feeds that I use because of the fact that, well, there's a lot that's been going on. Do you remember the Hyundai plant raid that happened in Georgia? Well, you know, I'm going to bite my own words. I'm going to choke on them because I said that I was betting that they were all like subcontractors. And it turns out that a very large portion of them, 60% at least, were actually from South Korea. Apparently, according to Newsmax, South Korea is going to bring home 300 workers that were detained in this massive raid. They were all illegal. And more than 300 South Korean workers that were detained are going to be released and brought home, according to the South Korean government and what they announced on Sunday. So the chief of staff for the president for the president of South Korea said South Korea and the U.S. had finalized negotiations on the workers' release. He said that South Korea plans to send a charter plane to bring the workers home as soon as remaining administrative steps are completed. So, South Korea's foreign ministry said that Seoul and Washington are discussing details on allowing all of the detained workers to return on a voluntary basis. It said that the foreign minister is to leave for the U.S. on Monday afternoon for talks related to the workers' releases. U.S. immigration authorities said that they detained 475 people last Friday. Most of them were South Korean nationals. When hundreds of federal agents raided Hyundai's sprawling manufacturing site in Georgia, where the Korean automaker makes electric vehicles. Agents focused on a plant that is still under construction, at which Hyundai has partnered with LG Energy Solutions to produce batteries that power EVs. So, yeah. Yeah. So 300 of them are going to go back. Well, this has obviously put businesses on the radar. You remember Tom Homan? Yes, that Tom Homan, the bulldog. Well, Tom Homan has apparently stated now that that the administration has now going to target more businesses. That's right. And honestly, this is exactly what needs to happen. Believe me, like I've said, you want to end illegal immigration in this country? It's really very simple. It's really very simple. All you need to do is target and then shut down all of those businesses that are willingly hiring and protecting these illegal aliens. Just do that. Just bring them in, shut them down, seize all their assets, take it into the government, whatever, like you used to do with the criminal organizations like the mob and so on and so forth. That's all you need to do. And on top of that, just as an extra added like bonus, get rid of all of the special programs and everything else that they receive when they get here. You do that, and I guarantee you there will be no illegal immigration. There will be no illegal aliens because they won't have a reason to come here. And this is part of the problem, is that the federal government has allowed businesses to get away with this kind of stuff with fake paperwork and so on and so forth. You get rid of that stuff, I guarantee you, you will not see any or hardly any illegal aliens here. End of story. Well, hopefully Donald Trump's administration is going to continue going after these businesses and checking them all out, because Trump has also urged foreign companies to start obeying the law and to actually train U.S. workers to do the jobs. And this, of course, came after the Hyundai raid. So President Trump said on September 7th that foreign companies need to respect immigration laws and suggested that they train U.S. workers after the raid at Hyundai's Georgia plant led to the arrest of South Korean nationals accused of staying in this country illegally. Now, keep in mind, it's not just these. I mean, this is just one example. I know of several organizations that would probably get raided. I don't know each name personally. Okay, let's just throw that out. But I guarantee you there are many organizations that are essentially gaming the system and paying these people under the table to avoid taxes and all this other stuff. Anyway, in a Truth Social post, Trump stated that the raid was part of a broader immigration enforcement operation and implored foreign companies to respect the nation's regulations when it comes to hiring. Well, no offense, Donald, but you're the first one who's actually decided to enforce this. He said, your investments are welcome, and we encourage you to legally bring your very smart people with great technical talent to build world-class products, and we will make it quickly and legally possible for you to do so. What we ask for in return is that you hire and train American workers. He was speaking at Joint Base Andrews, and he said Immigrations and Customs Enforcement was right to detain the South Korean workers at the Hyundai facility because they were here illegally. So, yeah. He also suggested that the arrests had no impact on U.S.-South Korea relations, by the way. So, there you go. Well, it's not just the administration that's helping. This is pissing off the left, too. So a lower court previously blocked federal authorities from actually stopping or arresting individuals based on the language that they speak or where they work. Well, the Supreme Court has now weighed in on that and says, yeah, we're going to put that on hold. So today, the Supreme Court announced that they will temporarily put on hold that lower court order. Of course, 3 justices dissented from this. See, this is what the left seems to not get. They don't seem to understand this. First of all, the federal court system that was built by Congress, meaning all of the lower courts below the Supreme Court, have literally zero jurisdiction in blocking one of the constitutionally created branches of government. So that's number one. Number two, they don't seem to understand that immigration, in all of its forms, falls under the federal government's responsibility. Whether that's Congress, which is supposed to make laws with regards to naturalization, and the executive branch, which is in charge of executing those laws with regards to naturalization in illegal aliens coming into this country. That is the legal terminology for these people. They are not illegal immigrants. They are not undocumented workers. They are, by law, illegal aliens. That's what they are. So anyway, the new high court pauses that temporary restraining order that she issued, that Judge Maxime, I don't know, Frimpong issued on July 11th that limits the factors that law enforcement officials may use when making immigration-related stops and arrests. Specifically, Frimpong had barred the Department of Homeland Security from stopping or arresting individuals based exclusively on factors such as the language a person speaks or where the person works. In an emergency application in Noam versus Perdomo, which was filed August 7th, the Supreme Court on September 8th granted the stay pending an appeal that is before the U.S. Court of Appeals of the Ninth Circuit. Justice Sotomayor, figures, Elena Kagan and Jackson, Ketanji Brown Jackson. Oh, in other words, the 3 activists on the courts concurred in their dissent. Kavanaugh filed the opinion concurring on the stay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Trump won another Supreme Court case, much to the chagrin of the leftist lunatic morons that are out in our society today. The Supreme Court has now, according to Axios, is going to let Trump fire the FTC commissioner, Federal Trade Commission commissioner. So Chief Justice John Roberts said today that he stayed a lower court ruling that allowed the Democratic FTC commissioner to come back to work. So, yeah. She has to stop and leave once again. So they're allowing him to, yeah. Folks, look, it's really not all that hard. It really isn't. It's not that hard. This document, yes, that's that rounded corner, leather-bound copy that I hawk every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, man. It does not take a genius to read this thing and to comprehend what is in here. There is one thing you need to understand. Under Article 1, it outlines the legislative branch of government. As a part of the legislative branch of government, Article 1, Section 8 outlines the specific enumerated powers that Congress is supposed to write laws about. Then, Article 2. And Article 2, by the way, clearly states, and oh my gosh, I'm going to have to break out my glasses here, as my Whiskey Warriors call it, the teacher glasses. Here we go. Article 2, Section 1. The executive power shall be vested in a President of the United States of America. That's it. There is no, executive branch. We call it the executive branch, but the actual constitutional definition is the president is the executive. He and he alone, or her, if we ever have a woman president, he and he alone enforce the laws. And he does so by doing things with all the organizations that are under his control. He can fire anybody underneath him. He can hire, within reason, pretty much anybody underneath him. You leftist lunatics need to understand. You need to learn the Constitution. You need to read it. You need to understand it. You need to get a full and comprehensive understanding of it in order to understand our government. Believe me, once you do, things will seem a lot better. Oh, Bonnie. B. Patrick says, Rick needs to go back to his show about the Constitution and break down what each one means. You're right, I do. I have another channel here on Rumble called the Constitution Quarter, or Constitutional Quarter, which my original intent was to actually utilize the Constitutional Quarter as a 15-minute breakdown of different parts and pieces of the Constitution. And unfortunately, my time has been relatively taken up by a bunch of other things. So I haven't had the opportunity to do that yet. Although, believe me, the thought is always behind my mind. Yep. Well, that's part of the reason why I push on things like the Institute on the Constitution, and Prager University has actually got some good videos out. So does the Institute on the Constitution. So does the Heritage Foundation, and they all have a lot of things. And if you listen to like Mark Levin, you can pick up a whole bunch of stuff too. So there's a lot of sources that are true and correct with all of this. But you're right, I do need to do something. All right. Let's see. Speaking of Tom Homan. Yeah. Well, Tom Homan has also put out a word of warning. He's also put out a word of warning. He has praised the hard work of ICE, but on Fox's Sunday Morning Futures, Homan issued a very strong warning against those who cross over from peaceful protest to threats and violence. Homan said, "He's a strong president. He's keeping his foot on the gas. He's not letting up. We have the most secure border in history of this nation right now because of President Trump's leadership and the men and women of the Border Patrol. But we also have the most secure border in the history because of the work of ICE. ICE is focusing on public safety threats. He said we have a historic number of prosecutions for the law called 111. By the way, that is, I believe, Title 18, U.S. Code, Section 111 is what he's talking about. But he's talking about it because of the fact that it has laws against people who impede, assault, and interfere with federal agents doing their jobs. See, this is why I keep saying these governors, these mayors, they don't seem to understand. There is a law against impeding, assaulting, interfering with the actions of these federal agents who are attempting to do their jobs to pick up these illegal aliens and get them out of our country. Congress wrote that law, and it is a federal law. And so these mayors of these sanctuary cities and these governors of these sanctuary states, they just don't get it. They don't get it. They are in violation of these laws. And Holman, of course, knowing this, clearly stated that anyone involved in assaulting ICE agents or engaging in threats will be arrested. He said, you put your hands on an ICE officer, you're going to jail. You make a threat, either online or in person, you're going to jail. You can protest all you want, exercise your First Amendment rights. You cross that line, you are going to jail. There you go. Tom Homan, too, by the way. He actually has now confirmed that the immigration crackdown is headed for Chicago. See, L.A. lost. L.A. and California have lost. Now it's Chicago and Illinois' turn. He said on Sunday, Tom Homan said that Americans should absolutely expect federal action in Chicago this week, along with operations in other sanctuary cities across the country. President Donald Trump has floated the idea of sending federal troops to Chicago since early August, shortly after announcing the federal takeover of Washington, D.C. The move has drawn sharp responses from Pritzker and Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, both of whom have voiced opposition to the expanded federal immigration enforcement in their state. Once again, I point back to, I think it's 18. I'm going to have to look that up. I think it's 18. 18 USC, Title 18, U.S. Code, Section 111. Anyway, so, yeah, there you go. Now, Trump, of course, is poking the bear, per se. He shared an AI-generated image of himself standing in front of the Chicago skyline with helicopters flying overhead, accompanied by the caption that he loves the smell of deportations in the morning. That's a reference to the Apocalypse Now movie as well. Yeah. It was oh shoot, I had his name, I just lost it, but he said, I love the smell of napalm in the morning. I can't think of the character's name or the actor. Oh goodness, I had him in my head. I've got his picture, but anyway, yeah. Yep. All of this, of course, is legal or focused. Legal. Let me say that again. Legal, people. Well, the left was also dealt a bit of a blow, or at least a scare. Don't know how much of a scare this is going to be, but anybody deals with Barry Weiss or knows of Barry Weiss used to work for, I think it was the New York Times, and she was an opinion editor over there. Well, after she resigned from the New York Times, she started the Free Press. That's what she calls it. And she started that in 2022. Now, the thing about it is that in her resignation letter, Weiss criticized the New York Times for what she describes as an environment hostile to ideological diversity. Yeah, which is exactly what happens in our education system and everything else. Ideological diversity. If you say something against the leftist, the lunatics, and they will immediately jump on you. And yeah. So anyway, Weiss had launched the free press. Well, now apparently she is selling it to CBS. Their Paramount Global, which is the owner to CBS, is reportedly nearing a deal that's going to acquire her media company in a transaction valued between $100 million and $200 million. Now, that's not really the problem. The problem is that Barry Weiss is now being considered as a part of that deal to be some sort of a senior editor or something like that. That she is going to actually come to CBS. And that's what's got the leftist elitist all freaking freaked out about this. So, yeah, they now have somebody who apparently, now keep in mind, Barry Weiss is not right-leaning. She is centrist. But that just scares the bejesus out of any leftist. Anyway, apparently, according to one individual familiar with some internal discussions at staff, they were not happy at all with others bracing for the impact. And this is all inside CBS, by the way. Oh, leftists are just not going to be happy anymore. They just aren't. All right, folks, that is it for me for this evening. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, head on over to rumble.com, get yourself an account. It is free. And once you are signed up and signed in, make sure you search up the American Perspective channel and hit that green follow button to get notified every time I go live. Also, too, don't forget, on your way out, hit your thumbs up, or if you really have to, thumbs down, across all of my platforms, whether it's X, YouTube, Facebook, or, of course, the aforementioned Rumble. We will see you tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on American Perspective. Have a great rest of your evening, and good night, everybody.